Hey guys, today we are listening to one of the great short story from the book of 100 World's Greatest Short Story. The title name is Work, Death and Sickness. The story was written by Leo Tolstoy and narrated by Rishi. This is a legend current among the South American Indians. God say they at first made men so that they had no need to work, and they needed neither houses nor clothes nor food, and they all lived till they were 100 and did not know what illness was. When after some time God looked to see how people were living, he saw that instead of being happy in their life, they had quarreled with one another, and each caring for himself had brought matters to such a pass that from enjoying life they crushed it. The God said to himself, this comes of their living separately each for himself, and to change the state of things, God so arranged matters that it became impossible for people to live without working. To avoid suffering from cold and hunger, they were now obliged to build dwellings and dig the ground. They were now obliged to build and to grow and gather fruits and grain. Work will bring them together, thought God. They cannot make their tools, prepare and transport their timber, build their houses, sow and gather their harvest, spin and weave and make their clothes, each one alone by himself. It will make them understand that the more heartily they work together, the more they will have and the better they will live, and this will untain them. Time passed on, and again God came to see how men were living and whether they were now happy. But he found them living worse than before. They worked together, but not all together, being broken up into little groups, and each group tried to snatch work from the groups, and they hindered one another, wasting time and strength in their struggles, so that things went ill with all. Having seen this too was not well, God decided to so as to arrange things that man should not know the time of his death, but might die at any moment, and he announced this to them, knowing that each of them may die at any moment, that God, they will not by grasping at grain that may last so short a time spoil the hours of life altered to them. But it turned out otherwise. When God returned to see how people were living, he saw that their life was as bad as ever. Those who were strongest availing themselves of the fact that men might die at any moment, subdued those who were weaker, killing some and threatening others with death. And it came about that the strongest and their distance did not work, and suffered from the weariness of idleness, while those who were weaker had to work beyond their strength and suffered from lack of rest. Each set of men feared and hated death, and the life of man became yet more unhappy. Having seen all this, God to men matters decided to make use of one last means. He sent all kind of sickness among men. God thought that when all men were exposed to sickness, they would understand that those who were well should have pity of those who are sick, and should help them, that when themselves fall ill, those who are well might in turn help them. And again God went away. But when he came back to see how men lived, now that they were subjected to sickness, he saw that their life was worse than before. The very sickness that in God's purpose should have united men, have divided them more than ever. Those men who were strong enough to make other work, forced them also to wait on them in time of sickness, but they did not know it. Don't if they turn look after other who were will, and those who were forced to work for others and to look after them when sick were so worn with work that they had no time to look after their own sick. but left them without attendance, that the sight of sick folk might not disturb pleasure of the wealthy houses were arranged in which these poor people suffered and died, far from those whose sympathy might have cheered them, and in the arms of hired people who nursed them without compassion or even with disgust. Moreover, people consider many of the illness infectious and fearing to catch them, not only avoided the sick, but even separated themselves from those who attended the sick. Then God said to himself, if even this means will not bring men to understand when with happiness lies, let them be taught by suffering. And God left men to themselves. And left to themselves, men lived long before they understood that they all ought and might be happy. Only in the very latest times have a few of them begun to understand the work of and like galley slavers, and for others, but should be a common and happy occupation untiring all men. They have begun to understand with the death constantly treating each of us. The only reasonable business of every man is to spend the years, months, hours, and minutes all allotted him in unity and love. They have begun to understand that sickness from form and dividing men should, on the contrary, give opportunity for living union with one another.